Hey guys, Thomas this is Genie here, aka Mustached. I'm here to review the series Primal, Season 1. If you end up enjoying this full review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to a petition to help smaller YouTubers. Second and third will head you over to my Patreon and PayPal, which will help support me. And the fourth will head you over to my Discord server, where you can help and join as well in a server where other YouTubers can help other YouTubers, and so on and so forth. And with that out of the way, let's get into Primal. So I actually just recently learned that Primal has moved on to Season 2, and I had actually never seen Season 1 of Primal, despite the high praise I had heard about it in the past, that being, you know, the tremendous follow-up of Samurai Jack. And that is quite an acclaim, considering how good Samurai Jack was for its time and then for its return more recently. But Primal was a different beast altogether, pun intended. So I decided to give Season 1 a watch, and I'm really glad I decided to, as I've just been watching a lot of shit recently, objective shit, so it was really nice to watch a show as short as it is to actually be really, really, really good. Like, actually surpassing a lot of my expectations of a series with very minimal dialogue, by the way. So, for this, I will be going over it, and yeah. So, Primal follows, well, this Primal man, who I'll just call Primal for simplicity's sake. So Mr. Primal here is village hunting in the era of which dinosaurs ruled and other, you know, creatures of the sort, and he's much more of a cave-dwelling man. So Primal's like fishing at the beginning of the sequence, and his little party of killing a fish rather brutally, showing the show's brutality fairly early on to show us what kind of show we should be anticipating. We see him follow this shell back to his wife and 2 kids, to see them only to be devoured by these red T-Rexes. Primal is filled with rage, filled with contempt, and filled with sadness, all expressed with the eyes and the yelling. Very, again, primal, to use that word in a more literal sense. As he wishes and acts upon his revenge, getting to attack these red T-Rexes. However, upon his attack, and moving further into this territory, we meet a green Tyrannosaurus Rex, who I'll simply call Rex. Now, if I were to assume, because I'm gonna end up doing it at some point anyways, I'm gonna assume this T-Rex is a female. Again, I'm just basing it off of what I've seen from the show, and again, that's not with any dialogue, and again, being protective of young ones seems more something a female of that time would do. The eyelashes, when you get the close-up view of it, very more cheesy stereotype to draw that way for a female, but it typically falls in line with a female character, so those are the 2 really key elements, I guess. First being more important, the protector. So Primal and Rex, Rex having her own 2 little T-Rexes, have them snatched away as well by the by the however many red T-Rexes are in the scene. I believe there's like 3 of them, or maybe even 4. I forget how many of them there are, but point being is that the 2 young T-Rexes get gobbled up as well, leaving the T-Rex to also be enraged and wanting revenge, and Mr. Primal over here is unsure of, you know, this whole interaction, but he's also angry at the red T-Rexes, so they sort of both end up attacking the remaining T-Rexes in the scene to a bloody extreme. Of course, there's still a little bit of mistrust among, a Primal Man and a T-Rex, obviously, considering the obvious. But in episodes 2 and 3, we see that the T-Rexes decided to follow Mr. Primal, and subsequently in episode 3, they get over their differences about, with hunting, primarily seems to be the thing that they are focused on, and with Rex finding herself obsessed with always getting the meal first, and, expecting when Primal himself was the one who got the kill, and things of that nature all apply in episode 3. So by episode 3, we have already established that they go over this little rocky start, but it's a rather quick start for a short series. But here's the thing, I believe it, and that's what's so incredible about this show, is that despite the crazier aspects of the show that are going to be establishing right after episode 3, the quickness, the pacing is, yes, quick, but it's executed so flawlessly. It's so well done, and again, just through eyes, just through screaming, just through visual storytelling being the crux of this show, since the T-Rex can only roar, and the Primal Man can't speak, so essentially he also just roars in his own way. So yeah, it's very quick, but very well handled for what they are trying to establish. So episode 4 onward to the finale of season 1, we see that bond has reached a next level rather quickly, but still believably, which is very crucial. Now, from episode moving 4 onward, I believe 4 is where it starts, we start to see more mystical things happening. Shamans who can, conjure up this green mist and suck up, a man's energy to form a baby, or this disease that spreads from dinosaur to dinosaur, and it makes them like a Terminator, some equivalent of a zombie, more or less, or a stronger version of a zombie considering the dinosaur size. So yeah, a bit more of the mystical elements are here in play, which is something I was completely not expecting from Primal, but was all the same more pleasantly surprised to see it here, as well as their bond continuing to grow, and seeing how these two work off each other, with Primal getting on Rex's back, and how they can move and fight off of each other and move side by side in later scenes, and again, that very minimal communication of him grunting and the T-Rex snorting at him, or snorting in sort of more an agreemental sort of way later on. These are elements that all work off each other, again, really, really well. So, it pretty much follows that up until the season finale. So the season finale introduces our third, main character for this show. I'm not sure if they're going to expand further than this. I don't think they ought to. I think they're reaching their sort of crux of everything coming together for this show at this point. They introduce a young woman, probably around Primal's age, no surprise there. Key differences here are that she knows how to say her own word in English. She seems to communicate her backstory in this different language, but also depicts it in drawings, and it seems to imply through the drawings, even though we can't understand what she's saying at this point, is that she was a slave with these other slaves, but somehow she was cut off from them. And we see on top of this mountaintop a more demonic, again, getting back into that mystical side of things, that this sort of demon-looking creature, and by the season's finale final moments, we have Primal saying her name in English. So, very spread out, like, timeline of, like, you know, getting them together this way as quickly as they do, and banging on this level of communication that's, you know, a pretty big deal for back then. She also has weapons that probably are more, you know, a bit more not to Primal's knowledge at the time, the bow and arrow being the thing. He uses it as well later on, seeing her use it as many times as she does. And then she gets swept back up into this boat. And I did see the opening for season 2, so I might as well go over it. I enjoyed that episode as well, as they're sort of carrying across the rest of the water rather smoothly. Well, not at all. They're struggling, and we get to see the continued development of Rex's adaptability or knowledge, attainment of seeing Primal, steer the boat for a while, and then he's tired, and then she instinctively goes to the back, and the boat's like this, but she's like paddling the boat with her tail. It's a really neat scene. It's a little bit on the silly side that, that's how they can continue to move, but, I still really enjoy it, seeing little moments like that, because it's still showing that the characters are, building off of each other, learning from each other, and so on and so forth. So that to me is what comes first, is, these character interactions and how they're playing off of each other. So, when it comes to the more silly stuff, you almost, want to believe that it's, the sense of you want to stay in this world despite its, primal nature, to use that word once more. And you kind of just want to see these characters interact and learn from one another. These are important things, despite the outlandish circumstances that can stem from good characters. Again, I always believe that good characters is the key. It's like the bridge to any good story, is you need strong characters to help carry you. And it's very clear that both of these characters, both Primal and Rex here, are very strong characters. We understand that Primal was seeking revenge, and the T-Rex very similarly, so they've had a very identical sort of through line through that, and they both understand, again through visuals, that they sort of need each other to survive these more, again, outlandish things, environments that they're coming in contact with, whether that be the dinosaur that's diseased, or the mystics, or any of that. It all boils back to that they are two characters that are just trying to survive the craziness of the world. And it's already crazy enough, but it's the added little bonus of, but it gets a little additionally crazy with, all that extra little stuff going around. So there's that. So overall, I would say Season 1 was incredibly strong, and seeing where Season 2 ended, Episode 1 of Season 2, I should say, ended, I would say I'm still adamantly waiting to see what happens next, because it ended on quite a cliffhanger with the T-Rex by herself. So, again, not sure how that's gonna go, and again, very strong character development. You see when the T-Rex lands, she's immediately looking for Primal, and again, you don't even need the dialogue at that point. You don't need it. You just see her looking around, and boom, you know. You just know. And that's how beautiful the show is. You don't need the dialogue to tell you this is, again, the dialogue is still very minimalistic, even despite Primal saying Mia at end of season 1. I mean, that's not much to go off of. So, again, by season 2, when you can still communicate so strongly what's happening in a scene just by having a character move in a certain way and look and, communicate, with screaming or, yelling or growling, that is so incredibly talented of what these, what the creators were able to put together throughout season 1. And I would highly recommend, if you want a show that is absolutely brutal before Invincible did the whole brutal thing, so don't even get me started on saying Invincible kind of sucks. I went over that already. Okay? So, Primal. Primal is a much better... I'm gonna say it. Primal is a better show than Invincible. I'm gonna stay on that... I'm gonna stand on that hill. I'm gonna proudly stand on that hill and give Primal... were there any... man, I'm trying to think of, is there a weakness that I'm, trying to formulate? Because I'm really considering giving this my next 10 out of 10. This show is just so good. It is so well crafted. It is so well put together. I'm just struggling to find, off the top of my head, any issues that would be objectively wrong. And I'm falling flat there, so I'm gonna, for the time being, I'm gonna give Primal a 10 out of 10. Highest review score I can obviously achieve. It always feels like a while, but it was actually a much shorter bridge from the last 10 out of 10, but still, I love to see a 10 out of 10. I would love to see a lot more 10 out of 10s pop up, but it's really hard to cut to that point. Anyways, if you ended up enjoying this full review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my petition, second and third will head you over to my Patreon and PayPal to help support me, and the fourth will head you over to my Discord server where you can help, find other smaller YouTubers to communicate with them and help partner up and do all that cool stuff. And with all that, until next time, everyone. Bye-bye.